Hello friends, that video you've not seen will be on my main channel. um, so this is the Ministry of Imaginary Friends. Welcome to it. I am your minister, Stephen Nightingale Ball, the Minister of Imaginary Friends. Now, I'm not doing it in a religious sense, more of a political sense, because, yeah, so I should really do a speech, shouldn't I? Maybe how the world should be. Maybe there should be more imaginary friends in the world. Well, that's just strange enough because there is an online community um, called like the Imaginary Friends community. But in this video, I'm going to go into my imaginary friends and then I'm going to do um, a video on how I get the research for all my imaginary friends. So here's my imaginary friends, and I'm going to describe them all. And there'll be interviews with like Charles and Amber. Oops, the main ones. But here's how I met them and met them all, and I'm gonna say if they're married or not, or if they're so basically these girlfriends and stuff, and where they live, and yeah. Now some of them work for me, some of them don't work for me. So yeah. Yeah, but most of them do work for me actually. So yeah, here's the thing. And yeah, so the first imaginary friend up is Charles Whitman. Now, Charles Whitman, I think, there's a spiritual connection with Charles because I feel every time something happens, he's the one that I feel he really like close to, and because we met in Arnside Road, um, at the office at Arnside Road. There you go. And he was a lorry driver previously. He was a plumber. He was a plumber, then became a builder. I think he was a joiner, then became a plumber, then basically worked for me. So yeah, the jack of all trades. Well, I don't know about he can't do electrics, I don't think now. But he's also like he left my company for a little bit, then became a mechanic, and then started working for me again. Now he's gone over to America, and he's got a really good job working on power stations. They sort of when he went over to America, like his friend, well, they're not friends now because apparently they like the job he first got with Tony promised him this job over at a like doing power stations on this island just across from New Jersey. But apparently this private island isn't owned by his friend. It's owned by the people that have got this power station, this energy company. And the people that have got this energy company aren't really friends of Tony's at all. And so they didn't get Charles a job. But then Tony gave Charles, well, it was all to do with the friend, so he could get this, get this money off his, anyway. And so he was a bit of a douchebag, really. He kind of, because he went to Charles like and said, well, you can have a job in America and you can have this and that, and they'll give you an apartment and all the rest of it. So he went over to America in October of this year, and all of the poo hit the fan. He's back from America at the minute, but he's going back in. He's supposed to go back in 2 weeks. He's actually going back in 4 weeks now because he's got to sort stuff out over here. Because he's a British citizen, not an American citizen, he has to do loads of stuff over here, then go back. But his job over there is really good. But he's basically said to me that working over there is so much better than working over here because his boss over there, even though they work differently over there and they have different hours, the private sector pays more. And because it's a private company, this power station's like private. It's a private power station. It's not, publicly owned. They don't. They basically, the boss is really negotiable. And apparently the boss, or one of the bosses, literally lives here, lives in Liverpool, in a really big house in Liverpool. And when he goes over to America, he rents out to footballers. So yeah, it's really nice. Well, he's got one house that he rents to footballers, and then another house he just lives in when he's over here. So he's over there most of the time, but and so he's got this big company over in America that's, his power station. The other company he was working for, so Charles had to work for this job that he had, and one job he did sort of get, he had to sort of, because he applied for it, so he couldn't just say, no, I'm sorry, because when you get a visa, you've got to apply for this job, and you can't say no. So he got this job and went over to the States. But people make good money in the States at the moment. People making good money in the States, and Charles is making really good money. Plus, he's got some money he's had to take money from family to, get his girlfriend sorted out, and his fiance sorted out, and Maureen, she's had cancer in her leg, but it's all gone. No cancer there now. It's not even spread anywhere. They cut a section out of her leg, and then they skin grafted it. So yeah, she's doing pretty well. And Charles thought she would be in a wheelchair, but she's not. But she's been driving the big vehicles, and she's got a Motability car and all the rest of it. But in America, Charles has got this big Cadillac, which is huge. But yeah, when me and Charles met, we were more than work colleagues, and it was difficult. I used to tell him off. We used to have rows, but then there was something more than that. We were like, well, hold on a second, And I remember one time saying to him, I used to call him Charlie, and sometimes in the office, but Charles really stuck. And But I used to call him Charlie sometimes. Yeah, Charlie, man, especially when we were talking about women. It was Charlie when we would when times were hard, and if he was giving me advice and stuff like that. But there's going to be a proper interview on this channel about all of that. And he's got motorbikes, and now he's living living the dream now. When I met him, he was living in a crappy council flat. Now he's living the dream. So, yeah. And he was married to Daphne as well. Daphne worked for me for a little bit. She was called Kim. She was protected by the Ministry of All Things, which I'll come to in another video. And then she had all this police protection stuff. Something happened in her life, which I'm not going to go into now. And she worked for me for a little bit, and then she left, and then she was married to Charles for they got married in 2004, and they divorced in 2018. So, yeah, and then he met this other girl, Carol. She was a bit of a bitch, really. I met her, and she didn't like me. So I said to Charles, what are you doing with this woman if she doesn't like... Anyway, at the altar, she just went off. She got to the altar. They got to the thing, walked up to the altar. Next thing, she just went. She just did a runner. And that upset Charles, and lots of depression there and all the rest of it. The next imaginary friend up is imaginary Rosemary. Now, a lot of people ask about Rosemary. Where did I meet her? Well, Rosemary, after Daphne left the builder's yard, I was going to go for Maureen, who Charles going out with now, but Jack's saying, you're not having a Maureen in your company, But Rosemary, a woman called Rosemary, I met this lovely woman called Rosemary. So Rosemary came in, and at the start she was a bit quiet, but she was very sharp, very quick, and very alert. And Rosemary, I didn't know this, but she had a sister. She's got a sister called Kate. And Rosemary's last name is Malls. Oh yeah, Charles's last name is Whitman, Charles Whitman. So Rosemary Malls. Now, the Malls family, I didn't know this, but they had a lot of money in them. A lot of money. Rosemary originally worked in retail, left retail to work for me. Then she's still working for me now. She's working in advertising, not building anymore. So, yeah, and she's the one that's... we always have arguments. Me and Rosemary always have arguments. And I always forgive her. But there's been a little bit of a previous moment with me and Rosemary. Apparently, a friend of mine, it's my sister's boyfriend, I made this scenario where he actually bought a house. Well, didn't actually buy a house for Rosemary, but bought a house for Rosemary. And guess what? I went and opened my big mouth and told my sister Rachel, and she's not very happy with Rosemary. Rosemary's not allowed in her house. So there you go. That's how bad it is. That's how bad it is, people. Rosemary is not allowed in Rachel's house because Rachel is not happy with Rosemary. Rachel's my sister, by the way. Yes, so Rachel and Rosemary, they just... Rosemary's like... and she's got a kid. She's got a son. Called Malcolm. And she had him... last year, around about this time last. Oh no, not this time last year. I think about way before. But anyway, and she was going out with a horrible, horrible swine called Mark at the time, who was violent, and she went on drugs for a little while, and now she's getting off them, and she's trying not to do any drugs now. She's only drinking now, so it's yeah. But apparently, Mark was a horrible, horrible, horrible person. Horrible custard. Um, he basically um, abused her to the point where if she wasn't buying drugs for him, he would beat her senseless. And one night he kicked her um, up the stairs and punched her and put a bottle to her neck. I don't know all the details, but she's left him now. I don't know where he's living, but she's still living in their house anyway. So yeah. And he's completely banged to rights. So anyway, I won't go further with that one. So yeah, Rosemary, she was going out with Andy Johnson. She's going out with him for a little bit, and apparently stuff happened, drama happened. Apparently Andy kissed another girl by accident called Beth. Yeah, he kissed Beth by accident. Went out with her, things didn't go to play. Then he went out with Siobhan for a little bit. Him and Siobhan were like, and Siobhan wanted him to go. He was going out with Siobhan for about 3 months. And then, like him and Lola, it was yeah. And then, anyway, I'll talk a bit more about that when it happens. But yeah, and Rosemary and Andy lived in this very room through COVID. So yeah, we had a little bubble, and then when the work stuff, when I got back to work, we had a little bubble there. So, talking about Andy Johnson, we might as well present him. So Andy Johnson, met him at Arnside Road. Met him in 2008. He came for a little bit and then went for a bit. People didn't really take a shine to him. There was a bit of drama going on there. Not really something I fully understood. But anyway, and then he came back to work for me in 2010, then left again in 2012, and came back to me in 2013, and left again because there was a bit of friction. Then came back here in 2014. I think, was it? Yeah, 2014. And stayed right through till 2025. So Andy Johnson has a bit of a rocky past, don't we all? But his past is rockier than some because he left home at 16. Well, he was kicked out really because his parents found marijuana in his drawer, and Just waiting for Dad to go down. Yeah, so then there was a bit of friction. Then he went to work for a security company. Then that closed. Then he went to work for another security company, and stuff hit the fan. And there was drugs and all this sort of problems. Plus his brother Tony, there was issues there. Then he worked for computer places and did other bits and pieces. Then came to work for me. He was going out with a girl called Emma for a little bit, but there was a bit of drama going on there. Dumped her. Him and Rosemary were sort of a bit of a thing for a while. And then him and Siobhan were going out, like, from his other place where he was living. And then him and Lola, I think they were speaking. I think he was staying at a friend's house and met Lola through one of his friends. And so Lola and him are together. But I like Lola. Lola's a nurse. She came here when Neil wasn't well, and she just came and checked on Neil, and I like Lola. What I like about Lola is she's very caring and she worries about Andy. I remember one time Andy was here and I wasn't very well, to say that much. And Lola came round to see if I was okay. So Lola was worried about me. And I rang Lola up and I said, well, I spoke to her on Andy's phone. And I said, I'm all right, thanks, Lola. Thanks for asking. Thank you, Lola. Bye. Yeah. So yeah, Lola. And it's strange because Lola has that sort of spiritual connection. Every time something happens to Lola, I'm like, oh, Andy, is she all right? Is she okay? Hope she's all right. Hope she isn't hurt. Hope she's all right. And I worry about Andy sometimes. So yeah. I don't know if there's a ring. I don't know if there's talk of marriage yet. I don't know. I don't know what's on the cards for them too. But yeah. Next person up is Adam Winters. Now, Adam Winters, don't really know too much about his past. I know he's got a brother called George Winters, who is very different to... I've not really met George, I just know about him. I know Adam's sort of got Andy Johnson out of a sticky mess and sticky drama as it happens, and and stuff hits the fan. And Adam Winters came to work for me in 2015. He was a friend of Andy's, and there was a little bit of a few arguments, but nothing untoward. Adam is a video gamer and he makes video games, but now he is a PM. He's a project manager. He was an art director for a bit, and then now he's my project manager again. So yeah, he's pretty good and works for my company, Radiant Advertisement. Yeah. So yeah. And Adam doesn't drive. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention Andy and Rosemary, they both drive, and Lola drives as well, so they drive. Andy has got an Audi M3. Sorry, an Audi S3. Yeah. Charles has got lots of cars. He's got a Ford Transit van. He's got a Chevrolet RV. He's got a Mercedes. He's got what else has he got? He's got a Ford Transit van. He's got a Daihatsu van. He's got he's got an Audi van, and he's working on a Renault RV. I know the Renault RV is done, but he's doing another. He's got a few other projects, and he's got about 3 or 4 motorbikes. I lose count with the amount of motorbikes he has now, but he's just got loads of motorbikes. So yeah. Now the next imaginary friend I'm going to do is Tom McInhill, who I've had since I was about 8 or 9. He got me through a patch when my folks split up, so he was there, and there's a bit of rivalry, but now he's back working for me again, and he drives a Mercedes and lives in Greybank Village. Oh yeah, Greybank Village, I forgot to mention the fictional world of Greybank Village. Greybank Village is a place where a few of my imaginary friends live. Adam Winters has left Greybank Village but lives not far. And Greybank Village is, well, it keeps getting extended every time. It's got an estate on the back of it, and yeah. But it was a field I saw when I was going towards Tarleton. So yeah, but that's that's just where it is. It's not, And what happens in that village? Well, there's a lot of drama that happens in that village, and trust me, there'll be stories about that village. There's lots of things that happen in that village. The butcher is going out with this woman who's well, she's on the estate, but he's the butcher has slept with literally half the people in the village. Apparently, even the people that have got the shack, the pub there, they had a bit of an argument with the butcher. Now they thought it was over meat, but it wasn't. So I'll do a story about that. I think about the butcher, because the butcher, he's very he causes a lot of drama, and the people on the estate, and the problems with the gypsies, and oh gosh, Greybank Village is just it's one of my favourite places to talk about, because even though it's fictional, even though it's a fictional village, I do talk about it, and I've spoke about it with people, and it's you wouldn't want to live. Trust me, you would not like to live in Greybank Village. Half the stuff that goes on in Greybank Village, there's loads of stuff that happens. There's police called there nearly every day. There's lots of debauchery, lots of problems, lots of mystery, and yeah. So if you like that kind of thing, I'm going to be talking about it on this channel. So yeah. So they're the imaginary friends that I currently have. I'm going to talk about previous imaginary friends and what they're doing now. And yeah, so that is this video. Like and sub if you want. You don't have to. It's currently up to you.